The key felt strange in Eliza Morgan's hand as she turned it in the lock of her front door. Perhaps it was the unexpected weight of it, or the way the metal seemed to burn against her skin despite the cool autumn air. She hadn't planned on being home for hours. The business trip was supposed to last the entire weekend, but the client had rescheduled at the last minute, leaving her with a rare Friday afternoon off. She'd almost called ahead. Almost. But something had stopped her. A small voice in the back of her mind, the one she'd been ignoring for months, had whispered, "Don't." The door swung open silently. The house was oddly still, yet there was a feeling of presence, like holding your breath when you know you're not alone. Eliza slipped off her heels, her stockinged feet silent against the hardwood floor of the entryway. A half-empty wine glass sat on the kitchen counter. Not one glass, 3. Red wine, the expensive bottle she'd been saving for their anniversary. Then she heard it. A laugh. Muffled but unmistakable. Tara's laugh. Her best friend since college, the maid of honor at her wedding, godmother to the child she and Michael had been trying to conceive for the past year. Another voice joined in. Equally familiar. Jade. Her running partner, confidant, the one who had held her hand through 2 miscarriages. Eliza's heart hammered against her ribs as she moved toward the stairs. The voices grew louder, punctuated by another sound she recognized all too well. Her husband's voice, that low, husky tone he used only in their most intimate moments. "I can't believe we're doing this," Jade was saying, her words slightly slurred. She could come home any time. "Not until Sunday," Michael replied, and Eliza could hear the smile in his voice. "We've got the whole weekend. Besides, what Eliza doesn't know won't hurt her." Tara's laugh again, but softer. "You're terrible, both of you." "We're terrible." "Yet here you are," Michael said. Eliza stood at the bottom of the stairs, one hand on the banister, the other clutching her phone so tightly her knuckles had turned white. She should confront them now, scream, throw things, demand explanations. That's what anyone would expect. Instead, she took a single photo of the wine glasses on the counter, turned, and walked back out the front door, closing it as silently as she had opened it. In her car, hands shaking on the steering wheel, she pulled out her phone and made a reservation at the Four Seasons downtown. Then she sent a text to Michael. "Meeting done early but heading to drinks with the team. Be home Sunday as planned. Love you." His response came almost immediately. "Miss you. Can't wait till you're back." Eliza smiled, but there was no warmth in it. She had 48 hours to plan exactly how this was going to play out. They wanted a weekend? She'd give them a goddamn weekend they'd never forget. 6 months earlier, to Eliza Morgan, the youngest VP in Carson & Reed history. Tara raised her champagne flute, her dark eyes sparkling with genuine pride. The restaurant erupted in cheers. 15 of Eliza's closest friends and colleagues gathered around the long table, celebrating her promotion. At 34, she had broken the company's glass ceiling, shattering expectations and setting new precedents for women in the financial consulting world. Michael appeared behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist and pressing his lips to her temple. "I'm so proud of you," he whispered, and she believed him. 8 years of marriage, and his support had never wavered, at least not outwardly. "Speech," called Jade from across the table, her blonde hair catching the light from the restaurant's chandeliers. Eliza stood, smoothing down her navy blue dress. "I wouldn't be here without all of you," she began, her gaze moving from face to face. "Especially you two," she nodded toward Tara and Jade. "My rocks. My confidants, my reality checks when I need them most." The 2 women beamed, raising their glasses again. "And Michael," she turned to her husband, whose green eyes crinkled at the corners when he smiled, who has never once complained about cold dinners, late nights, or canceled plans. The most supportive partner anyone could ask for. Later that night, as they walked home through the cool spring air, Michael's hand in hers, Eliza felt a contentment she hadn't experienced in years. Perhaps now that the promotion was secured, they could focus on starting their family. The fertility treatments had been put on hold during the final push for the VP position, but now, "What are you thinking about?" Michael asked, squeezing her hand. Babies, she said simply. Now might be the time. Something flickered across his face, so brief she almost missed it. Doubt? Fear? But then he smiled, that easy smile that had first drawn her to him at a mutual friend's wedding nearly a decade ago. I'd like that, he said. Let's talk to Dr. Winters on Monday. 3 weeks later, Eliza sat in her office staring at her calendar. Her period was late, just 4 days, but given their history of fertility struggles, every day felt significant. She hadn't told Michael yet. After 2 miscarriages, they'd both learned to temper their expectations. Her phone buzzed with a text from Jade. Emergency wine night. My place, 7 p.m. Non-negotiable. Eliza smiled. Just what she needed to distract herself from obsessively checking for pregnancy symptoms. Jade's apartment was a minimalist dream, all white furniture and strategic pops of color. Tara was already there when Eliza arrived, sprawled on the sofa with a glass of red wine. There she is, Tara said, raising her glass. The woman who's too important for us now. Eliza rolled her eyes, dropping her bag and kicking off her heels. Please. I saw you both 3 days ago. Work dinner doesn't count, Jade said, emerging from the kitchen with a fresh bottle. She held it out to Eliza, who hesitated. Actually, I might skip tonight. Tara sat up straighter. Are you? Eliza shrugged, trying to suppress the hope in her voice. Maybe? I'm late, but it's too early to test. The women squealed, rushing to embrace her. Their excitement felt genuine, their joy contagious. These were the friends who had brought her soup and trashy magazines during bed rest after her first miscarriage, who had sat with her in silence after the second, when words seemed inadequate. Michael must be over the moon, Jade said, setting the wine aside and reaching for a sparkling water instead. I haven't told him yet, Eliza admitted. I'm scared to hope. Tara squeezed her hand. We're hoping for you. Both of us. That night, as Eliza recounted funny client stories and Jade talked about her latest dating disaster, she felt a wave of gratitude for these women. In a world where female friendships were often depicted as competitive and catty, theirs was a bond of genuine support and love. Or so she thought. The pregnancy test 2 days later was negative. When she called Michael with the news, his response was measured, practical. We knew this might take time, he said. We'll keep trying. She heard voices in the background. He was at the gym, probably with his training group. I've got to go, but we'll talk tonight, okay? Love you. That night, Michael came home with takeout from her favorite Thai place and a bouquet of peonies. They ate on the floor of their living room, talking about everything but the negative test. It was their way, processed separately, then come together when the raw edges had been smoothed. Jade and Tara want to take me away for the weekend, she mentioned as they cleared the containers. Girls' trip to that vineyard upstate, the one we went to last fall. Michael smiled, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. You should go. You've been working nonstop. You're sure? We were supposed to go to your parents. He waved a hand dismissively. Mom will understand. Besides, I could use a weekend to catch up on work myself. The vineyard was exactly what Eliza needed. Crisp air, endless rows of grapevines, and the uncomplicated company of her oldest friends. They tasted wines until their teeth were stained purple, laughed until their sides hurt, and fell into deep, wine-soaked sleep in their shared cottage. On the second night, as they sat by a fire pit under a blanket of stars, Tara brought up Michael. How are things with you two? Really? Eliza swirled her wine, watching the liquid catch the firelight. Good. Busy, but good. The baby stuff is hard, but we're solid. Jade and Tara exchanged a glance, so brief Eliza almost missed it. What? She asked. Nothing, Jade said too quickly. Just, make sure you're taking care of yourself through all this. And your marriage. What does that mean? Tara leaned forward. Just that trying for a baby can put a lot of pressure on a relationship. We've seen it happen with other friends. Not us, Eliza said firmly. Michael and I are fine. Better than fine. Another glance between them. This time, unmistakable. Okay, what is going on? You two are being weird. It's nothing, Tara insisted. Just... Michael seemed a little off at your promotion dinner. Distant, Eliza frowned. Off how? Forget I said anything, Tara backpedaled. It was probably just my imagination. But the seed had been planted. On the drive home, Eliza found herself replaying the night of her promotion, searching for signs she might have missed. Michael had seemed happy, supportive. Hadn't he? When she arrived home, the house was spotless. Michael had cleaned everything, prepared her favorite pasta dish, and was waiting with a glass of wine. How was the vineyard? He asked, kissing her cheek. Beautiful, she said, studying his face. How was your weekend? Productive. Caught up on some work, hit the gym. He smiled, and she searched for something, anything that might confirm what Tara had implied. But all she saw was her husband, the same man she'd loved for nearly a decade. That night, as they lay in bed, Michael pulled her close. I've been thinking, he said, his voice low. Maybe we should take a break from the fertility treatments. Just for a little while, Eliza stiffened. Why? It's taking a toll on you, on us. Maybe if we stop trying so hard, you don't want a baby? The question hung between them. Of course I do, he said quickly. I just think we need to remember who we are as a couple first. Before we're parents, she wanted to argue, to remind him that at 34, her fertility window wasn't infinite. But exhaustion won out. We'll talk about it tomorrow, she murmured, turning away from him. In the darkness, she couldn't see his expression of relief. The following months brought a new intensity to Eliza's work life. The VP position demanded more travel, longer hours, and greater responsibility. She found herself grateful for the distraction, for the concrete problems she could solve, unlike the nebulous challenges at home. Michael, too, seemed to thrive in their new routine. With Eliza traveling more, he had space to focus on his architectural firm, which was finally gaining traction after years of struggle. They operated like well-oiled machines in parallel, their paths crossing for passionate reunions between trips. It wasn't until June, 3 months after her promotion, that Eliza noticed the shift in her friendships. Tara, normally responsive within minutes, began taking hours to reply to texts. Jade, who had never missed their Tuesday morning runs in 5 years, canceled 3 in a row. Everything okay with you two? Eliza asked during a rare dinner together. Just busy, Tara said, not quite meeting her eyes. You know how it is. Work is insane, Jade added. End of quarter madness. Eliza nodded, but something felt off. The easy flow of conversation had been replaced by something more measured, as if they were all carefully selecting their words. When she mentioned it to Michael that night, he shrugged. People get busy. Not everything is a conspiracy. I didn't say it was a conspiracy, she snapped, more harshly than intended. I said it feels weird, Michael sighed, running a hand through his dark hair. You're overthinking it, Liz. They're your best friends. If something was wrong, they'd tell you? Would they? She wasn't so sure anymore. The next day, Eliza left work early, intending to surprise Jade at her office with coffee and an invitation to revive their running routine. As she approached the sleek downtown building where Jade worked as a marketing executive, she spotted a familiar figure exiting the revolving doors. Michael, her husband, who was supposed to be at a client meeting across town, was walking out of Jade's office building. Checking his watch with a distracted frown, Eliza ducked behind a concrete pillar, heart racing. There could be a perfectly innocent explanation. Jade's firm had worked with Michael's on projects before. It could be professional, but why hadn't he mentioned it? She watched as he hailed a cab and disappeared into the midday traffic. Then, decision made, she entered the building and took the elevator to Jade's floor. The receptionist greeted her warmly. Mrs. Morgan, are you looking for Jade? She just stepped out for lunch. Oh, Eliza said, forcing a smile. I was in the neighborhood and thought I'd surprise her. Did my husband just meet with her? I thought I saw him leaving. The receptionist looked confused. Mr. Morgan? I don't think he was here today. At least not on the schedule. Eliza's smile remained fixed in place. My mistake then. Must have been someone who looked like him. I'll catch Jade another time. Outside, she called Michael. He answered on the third ring, the sounds of a restaurant in the background. "Hey you," he said, voice casual. "What's up?" "Just checking in," she said, keeping her tone light. "How's your meeting going?" "Good, good. Just wrapping up now. The client loves the preliminary designs." The lie hung in the air between them, though he couldn't know she'd caught it. "Great," she said. "I'll see you at home tonight." For the first time in their marriage, Eliza found herself looking through Michael's phone while he showered that evening. There was nothing incriminating in his texts with Jade, just sporadic messages about running routes and group dinners. Nothing with Tara either. His email revealed nothing suspicious. His calendar matched the story he'd told her. She was being paranoid. Maybe it hadn't been him outside Jade's building. Maybe the receptionist was new and didn't recognize Michael's name. But the seed of doubt had been planted, and over the next few months, it grew roots. Present day, the Four Seasons suite felt cold and impersonal, but it served Eliza's purposes. She needed space to think, to plan. She ordered room service and opened her laptop, the familiar routine of work providing a strange comfort against the chaos of her personal life. A text from Tara lit up her phone. "Miss you." "Girls' night when you're back?" Eliza stared at the screen, a hollow laugh escaping her throat. The audacity. She took a screenshot and started a new folder on her phone labeled Evidence. Another text, this time from Michael. "Hope your drinks are fun." "Call me before bed?" She didn't respond to either message, instead pulling up her banking app. Joint accounts, investment portfolios, retirement funds. She took screenshots of everything, forwarding them to her work email. Next, property records. The house was in both their names, but she'd put down the majority of the down payment with an inheritance from her grandmother. Another screenshot. By midnight, Eliza had compiled a comprehensive file of their financial entanglements and legal vulnerabilities. 8 years of marriage consolidated into spreadsheets and bullet points. It should have felt sad, reducing their life together to assets and liabilities. But all she felt was cold determination. She called her assistant, who answered despite the late hour. "Miranda, I need a favor. Can you move my meetings on Monday? And find me the name of the best divorce attorney in the city." There was a pause. "Divorce attorney?" "Yes, discreetly, please." "Of course. Are you okay?" Eliza looked out at the city lights. "I will be." The next morning, she drove to a cafe across town, one where she wouldn't run into anyone she knew. Over a latte and untouched croissant, she made a list. Secure financial independence document, evidence consult, attorney confront, betrayers, rebuild life simple, when broken down like that. Manageable steps. Like a business plan, but for dismantling the life she'd spent years building. Her phone buzzed with a text from Jade. "Hey, stranger, we miss you." "Dinner at my place tomorrow night when you're back?" Both of them then. Still carrying on the charade, a notification from their home security app popped up. Motion detected in the master bedroom. Eliza had installed the system after a break-in down the street last year, a small camera disguised as a charging station on her bedside table. She hadn't checked it in months, having long forgotten the initial paranoia that prompted the purchase. Her finger hovered over the notification. Did she really want to see? Yes. She needed to see exactly what she was dealing with. The video loaded, showing a clear view of her bedroom, her carefully chosen Scandinavian furniture, the abstract painting they'd bought on their 5th anniversary, the Egyptian cotton sheets she'd splurged on during the winter sales, and on those sheets, her husband and Jade, tangled together in unmistakable intimacy. Eliza closed the app, hands shaking. She hadn't expected video evidence to fall into her lap so easily. It was almost too perfect, as if the universe was conspiring to make her revenge that much more satisfying. She drove back to the hotel in a daze, barely registering the traffic or the pedestrians crossing against the light. In her suite, she poured a generous measure of bourbon from the minibar and called the number her assistant had texted her. "Patricia Lawson's office," a crisp voice answered. "This is Eliza Morgan. I need to speak with Ms. Lawson as soon as possible regarding a divorce." Ms. Lawson is fully booked until it's an emergency situation involving infidelity and substantial assets. I'm willing to pay whatever premium is necessary for immediate consultation. A pause. One moment, please. Patricia Lawson, it turned out, was a shark in Louboutin, exactly what Eliza needed. They met that afternoon in a private room at the Four Seasons restaurant. So, Patricia said after Eliza had laid out the basics, you have video evidence of the affair with one friend. What about the other? Just circumstantial at this point, but the three of them were together at my house when I arrived home unexpectedly. Patricia nodded, making notes on a sleek tablet. And you want what exactly? Maximum financial extraction? Public humiliation? Quick and quiet? Eliza considered the question. I want what's fair financially, my contributions recognized, my future secured. As for the rest, she took a sip of water. I want them to face what they've done. Not just to me, but to each other. Patricia's perfectly arched eyebrow raised slightly. Elaborate. They think they're in this together. Michael, Tara, and Jade. A united front of betrayal. But I'm willing to bet there are cracks in their alliance. Jealousies. Promises Michael has made to each of them separately. A slow smile spread across Patricia's face. Divide and conquer. I like it. She tapped her screen a few times. I have an opening tomorrow morning. Bring all the documentation you've gathered and we'll draft an initial strategy. That night, Eliza received another notification from the home security system. This time, it was Tara in her bed, Michael attending to her with the same enthusiasm he'd shown Jade the day before. So that was how it was. Not just a one-time thing. Not just one friend, but a systematic betrayal. A rotation. She wondered how long it had been going on. Whether it had started before or after her promotion. Whether her fertility struggles had driven Michael to seek comfort elsewhere, or if that had been convenient timing for an affair already in progress. It didn't matter now. What mattered was what happened next. Sunday morning, Eliza packed her hotel bag and checked out, instructing the valet to have her car ready at 2 p.m. She met with Patricia, signed preliminary paperwork, and transferred a retainer that would have seemed outrageous just days before, but now felt like a worthwhile investment in her future. At 2:30 p.m., she pulled into her driveway, noting with grim satisfaction that both Tara's red BMW and Jade's white Audi were parked on the street. Perfect. All three betrayers under one roof. Just as she'd hoped, she texted Michael, just parked. Be inside in 5, missed you. His response was immediate. Can't wait to see you. I have a surprise, Eliza laughed out loud. A surprise? The only surprise would be hers. She checked her appearance in the rearview mirror. She'd had a blowout at the hotel salon, applied her makeup carefully, and chosen a form-fitting black dress that exuded confidence. Wore paint and armor. Taking a deep breath, she stepped out of the car and walked to the front door, inserting her key with steady hands. The house smelled of cinnamon and apples. Michael had been baking. His famous apple tart, the one he made when he wanted to smooth over an argument or celebrate a special occasion. The irony wasn't lost on her. Honey, I'm home, she called out, her voice ringing with false cheer. Scrambling sounds came from upstairs, hushed whispers, the closing of doors. Eliza smiled, setting her bag down deliberately and walking to the kitchen. The tart sat cooling on the counter, perfectly golden. 3 wine glasses had been hastily cleared away, but she could see the ring marks on the marble. Michael appeared first, his hair damp as if he'd just showered. Hey, you're early. How was the trip? He moved to embrace her, but she sidestepped him smoothly, reaching for a glass in the cabinet. Productive, she said, filling it with water. Where are Tara and Jade? Their cars are outside. Michael froze for a fraction of a second, so brief anyone else might have missed it. They just stopped by to return some books. They're upstairs using the bathroom before heading out. As if on cue, Tara and Jade descended the stairs, both wearing overly casual expressions. Eliza, Tara exclaimed, rushing forward for a hug. You're back early! We were just leaving these novels I borrowed. How was your trip? Eliza accepted the embrace, noting how Tara's perfume, the one she'd given her for her birthday, mingled with a scent she recognized as Michael's body wash. Illuminating, Eliza said, stepping back. In fact, I learned quite a lot this weekend. Jade approached more cautiously, her blonde hair pulled into a hasty ponytail. We were just about to leave. Oh, but you can't go now, Eliza said, her smile not reaching her eyes. Not when we have so much to discuss. She moved to the living room, gesturing for them to follow. Please, sit. The three exchanged glances but complied, Michael and Tara taking the sofa while Jade perched on the armchair. So, Eliza began, remaining standing. How was your weekend? Productive? Just normal stuff, Michael said with a shrug. Caught up on work. Jade and Tara came by to borrow some books, like I said. And yesterday? What did you do yesterday, Michael? He shifted uncomfortably. Errands, grocery shopping, watched the game. Eliza nodded thoughtfully. Interesting. And Jade, what about you? How was your Saturday? Jade's eyes darted to Michael before answering. Quiet, gym, laundry, Netflix. And you, Tara? Any exciting plans? Tara forced a laugh, as if. I organized my closet and felt sorry for myself. The glamorous life of a single woman. Fascinating, Eliza said. So none of you were, say, in my bed? Having sex with my husband? Because my security camera seems to tell a different story. The color drained from all three faces simultaneously. It would have been comical if it weren't so devastating. Eliza, Michael began, standing up. It's not. If you say it's not what it looks like, I swear to God, Michael, I will throw that tart at your head. Her voice was deadly calm. I saw the footage, all of it. You and Jade on Friday. You and Tara on Saturday. The three of you together on multiple occasions over the past month. Tara's eyes widened. You've known for a month? No, Eliza clarified. I installed that camera last year after the Petersons' break-in. I just never checked it until now. But apparently this little arrangement has been going on for quite some time. Michael stepped toward her. Liz, please, we can talk about this. When? She demanded, her composure cracking slightly. When were we going to talk about it, Michael? After my next business trip? After the next negative pregnancy test? After how many more times of you fucking my best friends in our bed? Jade stood up, tears streaming down her face. Eliza, I'm so sorry. It just happened, and then, it just happened? Eliza repeated incredulously. What, you tripped and fell onto my husband's dick? Repeatedly? Both of you? Tara remained frozen on the sofa, her dark eyes wide with shock. We never meant to hurt you, she whispered. Eliza laughed, a hollow sound that echoed through the living room. That's the best you can do? You never meant to hurt me? What exactly did you think would happen when I found out my husband and my two best friends have been having some sort of depraved sex rotation behind my back? We didn't think you'd find out, Michael admitted, running a hand through his hair. You're never here, Eliza. Always working, always traveling. We didn't plan this. Don't you dare turn this around on me, she said, her voice dropping dangerously low. My career isn't the problem here. Your inability to keep your promises is. Jade took a step toward Tara, as if seeking solidarity, but Tara shifted away slightly. Interesting, Eliza thought. The cracks were already showing. Here's what's going to happen, Eliza continued, pulling a folder from her bag. Michael, I've already retained Patricia Lawson as my divorce attorney. You can expect formal papers within the week, Michael blanched. Patricia Lawson? The bloodhound? The very same. I hear she particularly enjoys cases involving adultery. He sank back onto the sofa, head in his hands. Tara, Jade. Eliza turned to her friends. I've taken the liberty of forwarding the security footage to both of your employers. Jade, doesn't your firm have a morality clause? And Tara, I believe the university's ethics board would find this particularly interesting, given your position on the committee reviewing sexual misconduct cases. Jade gasped. You wouldn't. I already have. I've also sent copies to our mutual friends, your families, and posted them to the neighborhood Facebook group. It seems only fair that everyone know exactly who you both are. Tara began to sob, her shoulders shaking. Eliza, please! My tenure review. Should have thought of that before you decided to sleep with my husband. Eliza turned back to Michael. I'll be staying at the Four Seasons until further notice. You have until Friday to pack your things and vacate the house. The house? But we bought it together. Check the deed, Michael. My grandmother's inheritance covered 70% of the down payment, and I've paid 62% of the mortgage. Patricia says the house is as good as mine. Michael stood again, his face hardening. This is insane. You can't just throw away 8 years of marriage without even trying to work it out. Work it out? Eliza repeated. You've been sleeping with both of my best friends. For how long exactly? Was it before or after our last round of fertility treatments? Michael looked away, and in that moment, Eliza knew. Before then. While I was injecting hormones and tracking ovulation and grieving another failed cycle, you were… What? Planning romantic weekends with these two whenever I traveled for work? It wasn't like that, Jade protested. Then what was it like? Eliza demanded. Enlighten me. The three exchanged glances again, a silent communication that spoke volumes about the depth of their betrayal. It started at your promotion dinner, Tara finally admitted, her voice barely audible. Michael was upset that you were traveling more, that the baby plans were on hold again. We were just comforting him at first. Comforting, Eliza repeated flatly. In our bed. We didn't mean for it to become what it became, Jade added. It was supposed to be just once. But then it felt good, Michael said, his gaze challenging hers. To be wanted. To be the priority. When was the last time I was your priority, Eliza? The question hung in the air between them, loaded with years of unspoken resentments. You never told me you felt that way, Eliza said quietly. You told me you supported my career. You told me you were happy. I lied, he admitted. I didn't want to be the husband who held his wife back. But then these two showed me what it could be like to be with women who put me first. Eliza turned to her friends. And you two? Was betraying me worth it? The friend who held your hand through divorce, Tara? Who helped you get your job after graduate school, Jade? Neither woman could meet her eyes. The thing I don't understand, Eliza continued, is the logistics. Were you taking turns? Did you have a schedule? Were there rules about who got Friday night versus Saturday? Tara winced. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Eliza pressed. It was complicated, Jade said. I promised them both the same things, Michael admitted. That when you found out, or when we finally told you, I'd leave. Start fresh. First with Tara, then with Jade. Neither knew about the other at first. Eliza's eyes widened. You promised to leave me for both of them? Separately? Michael nodded, shame finally crossing his features. Eliza turned to her friends. Did you know this? That he was promising you both the same future? The shocked expressions on their faces confirmed they hadn't. Another crack in their united front. So you've been lying to all of us? Eliza observed. Promising me a baby and a future while secretly resenting my success. Promising Tara and Jade that you'd leave me for each of them. Does either of you actually believe he loves you? That you're special? He does love me, Tara said defensively. We have a connection that he also claims to have with Jade, Eliza finished. Don't you see? He's been playing all three of us. Michael stood up angrily. That's not fair. I care about both of them. And I loved you, Eliza. But you left me behind years ago. And instead of talking to me about it like an adult, you decided to sleep with my best friends. Both of them. Together and separately. Eliza shook her head. Congratulations, Michael. You've managed to destroy not just our marriage, but their friendship too. She watched as Tara and Jade looked at each other, the realization of their competition dawning in real time. You told me I was the only one, Jade said quietly to Michael. That what happened with Tara was just physical. He told me the same thing about you, Tara replied, her voice hardening. Michael looked between them, panic crossing his features. I meant it when I said it to both of you. Things just evolved. Evolved, Eliza repeated. That's one word for it. She walked to the kitchen and picked up her purse. I've said what I needed to say. You three can sort out the remains of whatever this is. Michael, expect Patricia's call tomorrow. Tara, Jade, I suggest checking your work emails. Your respective HR departments have likely already received the footage. You can't do this, Michael said, following her. You'll destroy all of our lives. Eliza turned to face him, a sad smile playing on her lips. No, Michael. You did that the moment you decided my best friends were fair game. I'm just making sure everyone pays the appropriate price. She walked to the door, pausing with her hand on the knob. Oh, and Michael? The fertility issue was never me. I had my eggs tested last month. They're perfect. Dr. Winters suggested you might want to have your sperm count checked. Apparently, excessive alcohol consumption can impact male fertility, something to consider in your next relationship. With that, she walked out, closing the door on the stunned silence behind her. 3 months later, the gallery opening was crowded, the crisp autumn air carrying the scent of expensive perfume and freshly uncorked wine. Eliza moved through the space with practiced ease, exchanging air kisses and business cards as she admired the artwork on display. Her gallery, a long-abandoned dream now realized with part of her divorce settlement, showcased emerging artists with bold, provocative styles. Tonight's exhibition centered on themes of betrayal and rebirth, featuring works by women who had transformed personal pain into visual masterpieces. Ms. Morgan? A young woman approached, notebook in hand. I'm from Art Forum. Could I ask you a few questions about the gallery? Eliza smiled warmly. Of course. As they found a quiet corner, Eliza caught sight of a familiar figure entering the gallery, Dr. Olivia Winters, her former fertility specialist. She excused herself from the reporter and made her way across the room. Dr. Winters, what a lovely surprise. The older woman embraced her warmly. When I saw the announcement in the Times, I had to come. You look radiant, Eliza. Thank you. It's been transformative. I can imagine. Dr. Winters lowered her voice. I heard about what happened. The whole medical center did, actually. Eliza raised an eyebrow. Oh. Your ex-husband came in for that sperm analysis you suggested. Created quite a scene when the results confirmed your suspicion. Apparently, he'd been blaming you for years when the issue was his all along. A small, satisfied smile played on Eliza's lips. How unfortunate for him. Indeed. Even more unfortunate was his companion that day. Blonde, pretty, tearful. Kept talking about their future family. I didn't have the heart to tell her the chances were slim without significant medical intervention. Jade, then. So she'd won the competition for Michael's damaged affections. Eliza felt a momentary pang of something. Not quite regret, not quite sympathy. They deserved each other. And what about the other one? Dr. Winters asked. The brunette, Tara? Last I heard, she lost her position on the ethics committee and was denied tenure. She's teaching at a community college upstate now. Dr. Winters nodded. Consequences. Indeed, they were interrupted by a tall woman in an impeccably tailored suit. Eliza, the buyers from Chicago are asking about the centerpiece. Patricia. I didn't know you were coming. Eliza introduced her divorce attorney to Dr. Winters. Patricia not only saved my financial future, but became a dear friend in the process. I never miss an opening, Patricia said with a wink. Besides, this is the best revenge I've ever seen a client enact. From betrayed wife to successful gallery owner in 3 months? Masterful, Eliza laughed. I had excellent legal counsel. As they moved toward the Chicago buyers, Eliza caught sight of her reflection in one of the gallery's large windows. The woman looking back at her was different from the one who had stood frozen at the bottom of her staircase 3 months ago. Stronger, certainly, but also softer in the ways that mattered. The brittle perfection she had chased for years had been replaced by something more authentic, more resilient. The centerpiece of the exhibition, a triptych of photographs showing a house of cards collapsing in slow motion, had attracted a small crowd. The artist, a woman whose husband had similarly betrayed her, stood nearby, explaining her process to an enraptured audience. It's about the moment when illusion falls away, she was saying. When what you thought was solid reveals itself to be precarious, constructed from the thinnest of materials. Trust, hope, promises. Eliza nodded, understanding intimately what the artist meant. Her marriage had been just such a house of cards, beautiful from certain angles, but unable to withstand the slightest breath of truth. Later that night, as the last of the guests departed and the staff began clearing wine glasses, Eliza stood alone in the center of her gallery. The space that had once been merely an idea, a distant someday dream, was now tangibly hers, proof that endings could also be beginnings. Her phone buzzed with a notification. A dating app, Patricia's suggestion, a tentative step toward whatever came next. A match with a literature professor who loved art galleries and had no interest in having children. She smiled, closing the app without responding. There would be time for that. For now, she was enjoying the solitude of new possibilities. Outside, the city glittered with autumn lights. Eliza locked the gallery door behind her and stepped into the cool night air, leaving the past where it belonged, behind glass, examined but no longer lived in. As for Michael, Jade, and Tara, they had taught her the most valuable lesson of all, that sometimes the greatest act of self-love is walking away from those who cannot see your worth. Her revenge hadn't been the public humiliation or the financial extraction, satisfying as those had been. Her true revenge was this, the reclamation of her joy, her ambition, her future. A life rebuilt, not around what was lost, but around what had been found in the wreckage. She hailed a taxi and gave the driver her address, a new apartment overlooking the park, in a building where no one knew her story. Tomorrow she would wake up early, go for a run, and meet with a promising new artist whose work she hoped to feature next season. The day after that, perhaps she would answer that message from the literature professor. The future stretched before her, unwritten and bright. And for the first time in years, Eliza Morgan was exactly where she wanted to be, standing firmly in her own power, on her own terms. Betrayal had taught her strength. Endings had taught her beginnings. And somewhere along the way, the lesson she had most needed to learn had revealed itself. That sometimes, the most powerful thing a woman can do is not to teach others a lesson, but to learn her own.